When Russians ask, "How are you?" they actually mean it. In many countries, "How are you?" is just a greeting, a polite formality. But in Russia, when somebody asks, "How are you?" they are not trying to be polite, they actually want to know. Now, let's talk about how this phrase says a lot about the Russian culture and about how surprised I was about it when I just arrived. I remember when I just got to Russia for the first few months and I visited a friend of mine and she asked, "How are you?" Like, "Как дела?" And just like I would do back home, I replied, "Fine, thank you." But she didn't continue the conversation. She was waiting and looking at me. She actually wanted to know how I was. Do I like the weather? How am I feeling in the new country? Do I like the food? She wanted the conversation, not just for me to say fine. That was the first time I realized, oh, in Russia, "How are you?" is not just formality. It's an invitation to connect. In English-speaking countries like the US or the UK, "How are you?" is just part of the script. You say it to strangers, you say it to taxi drivers, to the lady in the store, and everybody just says, "Fine, good, thanks," and nobody really expects a real answer. People just move on after this question. But Russians are more direct. They don't ask unless they actually want to know. That's why strangers don't say "Как дела" right away. But when they do, it is real. Russians often say that Western small talks are lishnie, unnecessary, but true connections are always welcomed. There are many ways Russians will check up on you. "Как дела?" How are you doing? Что нового? What is new? Ты в порядке? Are you okay? And when Russians ask, they expect honesty. I've had conversations with my Russian friends where I said, "Well, I'm actually tired today." And instead of brushing it off, he offered me tea, sat down, said, "Давай, поговорим, let's talk." Russians might seem cold at first. They don't smile at strangers. But once you break through this outer shell, you will find the warmest, most sincere culture that you've ever experienced. This difference taught me a powerful lesson. It taught me to slow down, to listen more, and not to hide behind phrases, and to be able to share how I really feel. In Russia, "How are you?" is a moment of truth. It's about presence. It means I see you, I care, and I'm ready to talk if you want. And maybe, just maybe, this is something the rest of the world can learn from Russia. When I just got to Russia, I greeted a friend with "How are you?" and he stopped and looked at me seriously. "Do you really want to know? Because I've had a really rough week." That moment was awkward for me because I realized, oh, I just asked this question without meaning it. And for him, it was a real question. We ended up sitting for about 1 hour just talking about life, cold winter, family, and what it means to be okay. That's Russia. You might not get small talks, but you'll get real deep talk. So next time a Russian asks you "Как дела?", pause. Don't just say "Fine, thank you." You have to give them something, even if it's a little. "I'm tired, I miss home, I had a good day, ta-ta-ta." Because in Russia, words are not just words, and connection is not just politeness. It's part of the culture. A culture that values honesty, warmth, and being present. That's one of the many reasons why I have grown to love life here. The cold might be tough, and the language is pretty wild, but the sincerity melts everything. Utebia Как дела? Let me know in the comment section. Like this video if you felt something and subscribe for more stories about life, culture, and Russia through my eyes.